Hello all, and welcome to this presentation of how to prepare yourself for a future career. I am your host, Abdullah Ndijani, an HR and talent acquisition specialist with over a decade years of experience in this field. Before we start the presentation, I would like you to present yourself so we can get each other well. Please state your name, education, major, and professional if you are an employee currently. So we'll start with Mr. Abdurrahman.
Thank you, Mr. Abdullah. My name is Abdurrahman Sheikh Omar. I'm an HR manager. I've graduated from King Abdulaziz University as an HR management.
Thank you very much. Mr. Ahmed?
Yes, my name is Ahmed Bukhari. I am medical intern. I have graduated from King Saud bin Abdulaziz University for Health Sciences. And now, yes, I'm in training.
Wonderful. Thank you both. So this is a great chance since we have both Mr. Abdurrahman in the HR field with an experience in this field as well, and we have also a fresh graduate in medical school. So this presentation hopefully is going to be useful for all. To kickstart the presentation, we first going to look at those topics. First is the difference between a resume and a CV, structure and information to include in a resume, styles of resume, what to avoid when preparing a resume, applying for a vacant positions announcement, and lastly, preparation for an interview and what to expect during the interview. So first, we need to distinguish between what's a CV and a resume. But first, could each one of you, Mr. Abdurrahman and Mr. Ahmed, tell me what the difference is between both, if you have any background in it?
Okay, I will go first. In my opinion, both of them are similar. I used to think that resume and CV, it's different terminologies for American and British, something like that. So if there's any difference, it will be interesting for me.
Well, most of your answer are correct. There's slight differences between both of them, but we are going to look at it. Mr. Ahmed, if you have any background, what are the differences between a CV and resume?
Yes, to be honest, what I've learned that I should include a cover letter or personal statement, but I don't know which one to use regarding resume and CV.
Not a problem. We are going to look at it right now. That's another correct answer to include a cover page for medical students. But now we are going to distinguish between which to use for a medical field and the other, as Mr. Abdurrahman stated, the British or American. What are the differences between both of them? So the differences between a CV and a resume. The CV it's a short of curriculum vitae. The CV showcases entirely your academic and professional achievements. CV is typically details. Sometimes it takes several pages, commonly 3 to 10 pages. And sometimes I had, during my career, noticed a doctor who is specialized in surgery, who has over 15 years of experience. Her resume lasted for 25 pages because all the experiences and seminars that she had participated in. The last part in the resume used almost exclusively for applying for academic jobs in the United States and Canada. So in this point, Mr. Abdurrahman, you're all correct that the CV is usually common to be used in Canada, United States, and sometimes in British as well. And the resume provides a quick overview of your work history, education, and skills, as they relate it specifically to the job you are applying for. Resume typically only 1 or 2 pages long and use bullet points to present your skills and accomplishments. The last point for a resume is used for all other types of jobs, applications in the United States and Canada. For example, if an engineer, an HR, an administrative assistant, all those type of professions, usually they use a resume. The next slide, we are going to look at the structure of a resume or a CV in general. The resume usually contains of 6 main topics. First of all is the full name. You should here present, it should be at the top of the page. The personal information should state your name, contact information, and LinkedIn as well. The summary, it's a brief of yourself, your experience, achievements, and what position or functions area you would like to apply for. The work experience should state your title, employer, dates, and experience, and highlight your task achievements in numbers, not just statements. You should always, when you are talking about your achievements, they should be in figures, numbers, percentages. The education, it should state your level of education, either diploma, bachelor, or master. It should state your major, name of the university or college, GPA, and lastly, the year of graduation. The skills, either soft or hard skills you gained, like computer, languages, management skills, leadership skills, and etc. So how far are we doing, guys? Does anyone have any questions?
Yes, I have a little question.
Go ahead, Mr. Ahmed.
Yes, for us medical trainee, we need to get some professional certificates like basic life support.
Mm-hmm.
So for this one, or such certificates, where do I write them?
That's an excellent question, Mr. Ahmed. So asking about where to include the professional certificates for medical students, such as BLS, for example, for HR field, the SHARM certificate or others, um, it should be included under the education section. For example, let's say I will try to put a laser pointer. Okay, so after your education, after you state your degree, as I stated before, you're either bachelor or master. Under that, you should state here the other certificates, the BLS, for example, or for us, the HR field, the SHARM or CIPD. And I should note that when you are writing those types of certificates, you should follow the rules of the sequences. You should state the certificate, the name of institution or the college you gained from, the country, and lastly here is the date you gained the certificate. And for the BLS, as far as I believe, it has an expiration date or a membership number. It should also be stated in this section. Thank you, Mr. Ahmed, for that.
You're welcome.
So next here, we're going to showcase 2 example differences between a resume and a CV. The style might be similar to each other, both here the CV presenters, but the both same. But the purpose here is to show the skills and the experiences that you gained. As you can see, both of them are here similar from the personal information, interest, and language level. The statement here as at the top, but later on, the experiences style and the education style It's just the style is different, but the content itself, it's similar. It shows the title here, the workplace or the employer that you are working for. You highlight here the achievements or tasks you are currently doing. And lastly, as it shows here, the date from to. And I should also state if you are currently working, you should, for example, like this one here, you should state the date of start and you should later on write present or until now. Okay. So it's important to mention all the job application now done automatically or electronically and done through a system called applicant tracking system. I believe Mr. Abdurrahman knows this system. It's called ATS, applicant tracking system. So please try not to use any special font or colors. State your skills and experience in details to increase the chances for the system to track your application and match with the opening position. Because if you write any special font, you put any special pictures or something, the style, if you put special colors, usually the system does not recognize this. So try to put it as professional and simple as possible. In this slide, we are going to talk about things to avoid when preparing a resume. There are a couple of things. First of all, is the spelling mistakes, grammar mistakes, inappropriate personal photo. Try not to put general information. Try not to put abbreviations. Abbreviations meaning, for example, what Mr. Ahmed currently had graduated from King Saud bin Abdulaziz University. So abbreviation means putting the short name of the university is KSAU. Try to avoid that because when the HR recruiter or even the system, when it's with reading the resume, usually a lot of people or the system cannot read the abbreviation. So try to put the full name of the university, the job title, the course that you had gained. And the last thing here is not provide official documents, meaning you sometimes applicants state an experience or a certificate that he or she gained, but he or she does not have the official documentation. So try not to put any information you don't have documentation for. So after you finish structuring your resume or CV, now it's time to applying for a vacant position. When applying for a vacant position, try first to carefully read through the job responsibilities and understand the duties because usually during the interview you're going to be asked for. Make sure you meet the job requirements, the education, experience, and others. Not to apply, meaning not to apply for a position that is lower than your education or your qualification or higher than your qualification. Try to apply for a position that suits you. Then read about the company or organization you are applying for. And lastly, know the announcement closing date. The main purpose for this point is after the announcement closing, you can follow up with the recruitment department about your application, if it's under screening or is it under consideration. So next step is during the interview, what to do and what to avoid. A lot of mistakes we in HR recruitment see the candidates do, maybe because they are not really prepared. So in this presentation, I'm showcasing the points to avoid and points to do. And before I start the presentation, I would like to ask both of you, Mr. Ahmed and Mr. Abdurrahman, what points, Mr. Ahmed, I will start with you, Mr. Ahmed. What points or preparation, if you attended the interview, that you had prepared yourself?
Okay. Yes, I've attended few interviews. Regarding what I've prepared for, I usually read about the organization itself.
Great.
I always try to be early as much as possible.
Excellent point.
And
Yes.
yes, and I also try to bring my document with me if it's needed.
Excellent. Very excellent, Mr. Ahmed. That's a valid point. Sometimes, yes, we in during the interviews, we notice applicants not attending at their time, probably because they didn't search prior the interview date or time, the location of the interview, or missing couple of documentations did not bring copies during the interview. It doesn't mean that they are fraud, or the information that is stated in the resume or CV. Um, it doesn't mean that the applicant is lying about those information, but simply the candidate forgot to bring extra copies. Excellent point, Mr. Ahmed. Mr. Ahmed Abdurrahman, I'm going to switch to you since you are in the HR field. Could you tell me a couple of mistakes you observed from candidates while conducting an interview?
Actually, there is a couple of mistakes that we can consider as repetitive mistakes. One of it is
Mhm.
the attending on time, or let's say one of them is cannot attend on the time that he given. Yeah, in my opinion, he should inform the interviewers or the company that
Mhm.
he might delay or something, but usually they are not doing that. So they are coming late. After that, they are start to making their excuses. Um Another point is regarding the CVs that they are providing. I've noticed many of them they are not following the structure that you just explained. For example, the
Right.
most common mistake was the experience section. They
Right.
usually put the first experience at the top, and the last or the recent experience will be at the last.
At
So
the bottom.
it's kind
Yes.
at the bottom. So it's kind of confusing to deal with those mistakes. Besides the points that you already mentioned before.
Excellent, excellent points, Mr. Abdurrahman. That's correct. As Mr. Ahmed also previously mentioned that he always makes sure to attend at the interview date, interview time and date. And Mr. Abdurrahman gave a valid point. If an applicant or a candidate is going to be late, he or she should notify the HR talent acquisition recruiter or the manager that he is going to be late for the interview, and he or she should give valid reasons of why coming late, or if the interview going to be rescheduled if possible. It's an excellent point, Mr. Abdurrahman. And regarding the structuring the experiences or the education as well. I notice education section that candidates do not follow uh, the structure of the CV. They put the last at the bottom. I mean, the last interview or the last experience, they put it at the bottom, and the first experience or the first education, they put it at the top. The reason of this structure, because usually the human being or person, when reading the CV during the interview or private interview, we read the CV from top to bottom. So we are expecting unconsciously that the recent information is going to be at the top. So it's always better to reorganize the CV or resume as we explained in the previous slides. Thank you both. So now we're going to showcase the things to do during the interview, to know your resume, what's written in your resume, to be calm and confident during the interview. For fresh graduates, it's always recommended to detail your graduation projects, training, or volunteers that you had done during your study or after your graduation. For experienced candidates, it's always better to give details about your achievements. And lastly is to highlight any achievements that you are done during your career. And now the things to avoid during the interview is not to follow the dress code, not bringing copies of documentations, not knowing the position or duties of the position that you apply to. The body language is also here important. The last point is unaware of the organization background that you are applying for, because usually those points you are going to be asked about the organization background, the position duties that you are applying for. So now we're going to say congratulations that you had been accepted for the position you applied for. So you passed the interview. So what's next? What's the expectation? What the remaining steps that follows the interview? Here are a couple of steps you should consider. Sometimes it depends on the organization or depends on the position you apply for. You might get extra tests, but as again, this is an optional, depends on the position that you apply for. But usually after the interview, after you're being selected, you will be giving a job offer to sign. The job offer showcase the little bit of details of the benefits of the position and showcases the salary, the basic housing and transportation salaries and other allowances if sometimes positions allow other allowances. After that, here, this step, the final approval of the application, it relies for the HR department. They should get the approvals of your application from the higher management. After that is going to be the medical examination to see the history of your medical, if you are fit to do this position that you have been selected for. And lastly is to join the organization or the duties that you've been selected for. So this was the last slide. Thank you both, Mr. Abdurrahman and Mr. Ahmed, for coming and the valid question that you had asked. If you have any questions regarding the points that you had covered, the mic is yours. Please ask.
Okay, I have one question regarding the ATS system you just mentioned.
Mhm.
How to make sure that the CV that I prepared is matching the ATS system? That I have heard that there is some forms that ATS cannot read it, regardless of the point of that coloring or pictures, including coloring or pictures. I believe there is a certain type or certain form that the ATS system can read it. So
Could you
if
give
you
me an
have any,
example of the form that you are asking about or you had seen?
I'm not sure. I'm just asking that previously I was having one CV that have some color on the side, have some draws, something like that. When I used to apply it, the ATS system in the for the application during the for the vacant, I noticed that the ATS is not read it, so
Right.
it's not reflected on their system.
Right.
After I done an update about it, the update was very simple. I don't know what's the difference exactly, but it was very simple. And at that point, the ATS system can read it carefully and read it correctly.
Right. You almost 50% answered yourself, as you mentioned, and during the slide as well. Try to avoid any special coloring and special font or special bullet points. Some applicants, when stating their achievements. They use bullet points, but the bullet point itself, the design of the bullet points, they put some kind of drawers or pictures, special pictures. Those type of speciality, let's call it, in the resume, the system cannot read it because it's a computer. It's not a human being to distinguish what from which to which. So we always recommend not to use those type of pictures. So the system, the applicant tracking system, can read your resume. And another point, when structuring your resume, as mentioned, I explained in the slide, to first read carefully about the position you are applying for and what requirement the position is asking about, regarding requirements regarding the duties or other skills that the position is requesting. After that, you're going to construct your resume. This is a valid point because, as I mentioned, most of the positions are now tracked by the system. Your resume should be flexible, meaning you should not have only one style of resume to apply for all positions. Your resume should be flexible to be applying for a variety of positions. The position A, you should have a resume for position A, for position B, for position C, depending on the skills that position is asking about. So position A is asking about skills A, B, C, D. You should mention those skills in your resume. So it will be easy for the system to pick your resume, or to at least put your resume at the top 10 of the applications. It's a very valid questions, Mr. Abdurrahman. Thank you for that.
Thank
If
you
you
so
have any
much.
other questions, Mr. Abdurrahman or Mr. Ahmed.
Thank you so much.
So thank you both for attending and the good questions that you had asked. I hope we learned a lot from this presentation, and have a good career life, inshallah. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.